And we will get it started with the first question from Jacob Unruh. Go ahead, Jacob.
Donovan, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Good, good. It's good to see you in person. We've talked a lot on the phone, so that's it's a nice little change of pace here to see you face to face a little bit.
For sure.
What has it been like? And this is kind of generic, I guess, maybe, but what has it been like for you since you've arrived on campus and gotten into practices and the season gets close?
At the beginning it was pretty tough, just adjusting, to the daily schedule, like 2-3 workouts a day, and then you gotta work on your own if you want to get better. So, that was a big jump from high school to college, and then focusing on class and, treating your body right so you can recover for the next day. I struggled a little bit at first, just adapting to everything, but now I'm pretty much in the group of things.
What was the biggest struggle? Maybe on the court for you.
Probably just confidence. My confidence was real down probably the first month or two, just because you take a kid from a small city in Nebraska who was the man, who really did everything you wanted in high school for the last 4 years, averaged 28 points a game. Now you put him on a team for the pros. Top pick in the draft next year. You got Isaac and Keelan and Farron, all these guys that are all top level players, and now you're just a fish in a big pond. So that was probably a big adjustment because my confidence wasn't there. I wasn't shooting the ball well, so I was pretty down for a while. But now I'm back playing pretty well.
What changed to get you confident and comfortable again?
Really, just time. I think it was something that I had to just face. I think all freshmen go through something like that, and I don't really think that there was really anything that I could have did, like a quick fix. I think it was just something I had to go through. Just realize I wasn't what I thought I was initially, and now I know my role, and I'm gonna just do whatever I can do.
Awesome, thanks, Donovan.
Sure.
The next question will come from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, Donovan, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. Since you've been here, you guys have had X amount of practices and workouts. What feelings do you have right now knowing that you're days away from your first college basketball game?
The feelings are, they're pretty high right now. We were just watching film and I was sitting there thinking like, I'm really about to be playing a college basketball game in 2 days. And that's always like it's been a lifelong dream of mine since I was a kid, just to play in a college game. So, the feelings are up there, but at the same time, you don't want to get too high for the moment.
In terms of watching film, some high school players, may come in their freshman year and may not be used to watching the amount of film that you watch in college. Were you used to that, or is that a new process for you too, just, watching film?
In high school, I watched quite a bit of other people's film, but now in college, it's really a lot of watching film on yourself to see like what mistakes you did, what you can get better at, what you need to do the next time. So it's like I've been watching a lot of myself and seeing what parts of my game I can improve on really every day.
And how much of that piece has helped in your growth in terms of just building your confidence, being able to watch yourself on film?
It's built it a lot, just because you can see things that you might not have thought that you realized in practice, but the film doesn't lie, so it catches everything.
Appreciate you.
For sure.
The next question is from Chris Becker. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, Donovan, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got an off the court question for you. So you recently got verified on TikTok. How does that help you? How does that help you bonding with your teammates like Avery and the Boone twins?
Okay.
We're around each other.
All right. Let's get to the TPTs. Phone lines are open, 533-1020, 533-1051, 866-229-1020.
That's all good. But, me being around Avery and the Boone twins, we're around each other off the court pretty much every day. So, just find something off the court to enjoy. I'm here for basketball, but, you have some fun while you're here.
Now, last season, Avery got Coach Gundy in a TikTok. What's it going to take for Coach Boynton to be in a TikTok?
It'll probably take a lot, especially as the season approaches. He's all about business, so it would take a lot.
Awesome. Thank you, Donovan.
Sure.
Next question from Marshall Scott. Go ahead, Marshall.
Hey, Donovan. Thanks for taking the time. just watching the practices, something that Boynton's kind of seemed like he's talked to you about is just keep shooting. You kind of mentioned, building your confidence, just keep shooting. What does that do for a shooter like you?
It helps a lot because, I can tell myself as many times as I want to keep shooting, but if it's really not in me to like really feel that way, then it's not going to work out. So, knowing that he's, behind me and encouraging me to keep shooting and keep doing the things that I was, pretty good at in high school, means a lot.
Something that a lot of the guys have issues with whenever it's their first year here is just how aggressive Boynton's defensive style is. How have you kind of adjusted to that?
I've adjusted pretty well. It's pretty the same. Not same coaching wise, but same for me. I've always been a pretty aggressive defender, and I take charges. I'll defend whoever's in front of me, whether it's a post player or a guard like Cade. So I've really taken up to the challenge really well.
And then Bryce, he's a guy that's kind of been under the radar in terms of like recruitment and getting here. Boynton's kind of talked highly of him. What have you seen out of him so far?
I think Bryce, he puts on a little bit of weight. I think he definitely could be a pro for sure. His athleticism is through the roof for a guard, especially. He's about 6'2". He can shoot the ball real well. He's kind of streaky from 3-point line, but if he gets making shots, he's a problem. And he's a guy who's on defense. He just causes havoc from 94 feet. He guards the whole court. So it's just a great player to have on my team.
Thanks.
Mark Neely with the next question. Go for it, Mark.
Hey, Steven, thanks. Hey, Donovan, let me start. First off, Fran Fraschilla and I will actually be there on site in Arlington. We're looking forward to seeing you for ESPN. A couple of questions, and let me start with, normally you're from such an athletic family, but was there an NBA or college player or two that you kind of looked to and modeled your game after?
As I've seen the league change, as I've seen the NBA change from, me as when I was younger, you like the LeBrons and the guys who make all the money. But as I've gotten older, and I realized what really gets you there is the small things. Only 2% of the NBA is all-stars. So it's like, who can go rebound, who can defend, who can take charges, who can run the court every time and sprint, who can pay attention to detail. So, as I've gotten older, I like, guys like Andre Iguodala, who doesn't really get seen as much, but he's on the court and you're going to know he's out there because, he's a vet and he's done the same thing since he's been in the league. He's just paid attention to the small details and he's always helping teams win.
Interesting. So you kind of take individual parts, whether it's rebounding from this guy or I like his trait with this. Being from such an athletic family, whether your brothers were playing college football or track, what was your experience in other sports, and when did you get to the point where you were, I want to make college basketball and pro basketball my goal?
Probably freshman year of high school. I was primarily a baseball player until about 7th grade. I got hit with the pitch in the face, so I decided to quit after that. And then, I decided to quit after that. And then I was really good at football until about 8th grade. I played quarterback, and I got hit in my knee, and I had knee surgery on my right knee. And then going into freshman year of high school, I was like, I don't want to risk an injury again. So I just stopped everything else and just stuck to basketball.
And the last thing for me is the wide range in ages of your family. Was there one of the brothers, or in particular athletically, that you were closest to that you kind of followed?
It's probably just my brother Bryson, because we've always lived together. Me and Trey's a little bit older. Well, we have different moms, so we never really lived in the same household. But my brother Bryson, who's at Wisconsin, we've been on each other since obviously the day I was born. So probably him.
Great. Hey, that's all I got. Me, Fran, everybody at ESPN, looking forward to seeing you guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Next question from Jacob Unruh. Go ahead, Jacob.
Donovan, it's kind of random. It looked like you were going to get to play in your hometown this weekend. Are you a little disappointed that didn't work out?
I was not really. Not really. I'm just trying to focus on whatever I can do. Just stay on the floor as much as I can to help my team win. That's really it. I wasn't too focused about who could come and watch and play. I'm just here to do my job. So wherever we play it, I'm gonna show up and play hard.
You talked about Bryce earlier, but is there anyone else that, since you've arrived, has kind of surprised you that you didn't really know much about? Outside of maybe you know how good Cade is, but I mean, outside of, anyone surprised you?
Probably Keelan.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously I knew about most of everybody else, but yeah, probably Keelan, just because I didn't know how much of a offensive rebounding threat he was. I knew he could hit tough shots and shoot the three a little bit, but since he got hurt, I didn't know too much about him at all, really. And I mean, this dude just crashes the offensive boards like nobody I've ever seen in my life, and he's just like makes his presence known whether he's hitting threes or not. And if he's hitting threes, he's a pro. He's 6'8", 3, who can rebound and dribble and shoot the ball. So he's probably surprised me the most.
Awesome. Thanks, Donovan.
Yeah.
John Holcomb, go ahead. You are the next question.
Donovan?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, you mentioned the offensive rebounding by Keelan, and that makes me wonder in terms of you guys are going to have a lot of length and a lot of size. Is rebounding one of the biggest concerns in terms of you guys know you're really going to have to battle some guys who may be a little thicker on the inside?
Yeah, that's probably definitely one of our things that we're going to focus on, especially as we get to the season. We play against Texas and West Virginia and teams like that that have multiple guys who are 6'9" plus, and we really only have 2. So, our primary big, Caleb, obviously he's going to do his thing down there. But if they throw multiple guys at us that are athletic and just tall, big guys, we're going to have to fight on the offensive board. So, I think we'll handle it well because we got big guards like Isaac and Cade who can cover some ground. But at the same time, even the smaller guards will have to, get in there and help as much as we can.
Thanks.
So.
We probably have time for maybe one more follow-up if anyone has one. If not, we can bring in Avery Anderson for you guys. Any last questions? Well, thank you so much, Avery Anderson, for joining us today. Feel free to go ahead and start raising those hands, and we will start calling on questions. The first one from Jacob Unruh. Go for it, Jacob.
Avery, it's good seeing you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Doing well. So, second season, what do you feel like your biggest growth has come?
My biggest growth, I would say, know how to play the game, like knowing how to read the offense better, knowing when I could gamble and when not to gamble. I would say my growth as a player has just been better.
You're obviously playing point guard with Cade and Ice at times too. What's it like with Cade and Ice both on the floor together? How's that working out?
Right now it's amazing because whoever gets the board, we just out and going. So I don't got to come back to the ball, try to get it from somebody and slow down the offense. It's just whoever gets it going, we out. We playing fast, and I like it.
Was that I don't know if a concern is the right word, but that was something you were curious about how Ice and Cade were going to play together?
Not really, no, because I know they're both good players. They know how to play basketball the right way. I know how to play basketball the right way. So we just got to, whenever we brought it together as one, then I knew we were going to be good. And right now it's looking good so far.
When I know you're not from Arlington, but you're from the area a little bit. Does it mean a lot going home on Wednesday?
Is it what, sir?
Does it mean a lot going home on Wednesday?
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. It means a lot. I can't wait to play in front of my mom again and my dad. But a lot of my family can't come because the tickets have sold out because everybody's trying to see us play. But, I mean, it's all good, though. At least I get to play in front of my loved ones. That's what I like to do.
Good. Awesome. Thanks, Avery.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Next question from Frank Bonner. Go ahead, Frank.
Hey, we're good to see you again.
How you doing?
Doing well. Appreciate you. Last year you showed yourself that you could be a really solid defensive player. And with this year having so many guards, how has practice been, going up against, Isaac and Cade and honing in on your defensive skills?
I would say going up against Cade and Ice has really expanded, I would say, my defensive repertoire because Cade, he's a big, crafty guard. Ice is a big downhill guard and solid
guard. So I'll say guarding a bigger guard that's crafty. I got that from Cade, guarding Cade a lot, and just guarding nice since last year, just being solid, but a big guard that could drive downhill. I could just play big down there with him.
I know you watched your fair share of film in your freshman year last year. Were you used to watching film as a high school player?
Yes, sir, I was. I used to, every game, me and my pops used to come home after my high school game and watch a game that I had just played. So watching film wasn't really new to me. I would say probably seeing like how to get the right play, I would say, like the possession, knowing where to make the right plays that I learned from here.
And how important is watching film and as you try to get better?
I would say it's very important because some of the things you may think you see on the court, you really don't see. So watching film, going back and seeing when it's happening, whenever you know the next time it's coming up, you already ready for it.
My last question for you is you guys, the final game you guys played where Isaac, scored. Boynton talked a lot about, your presence of mind to get the ball and get the ball out quick, which is what he talked about. What was that moment like for you, just to knowing that paying attention to the little things actually helped you win the game in that moment?
I was excited. I mean, I was just knowing it's a crucial game and a crucial time, and I had to execute whatever coach said to do, and that was getting the ball out fast if they scored. And I had seen like your had slipped. I had saw it late out the corner of my eye. Your had slipped, and I saw the dude going for the dunk, and everybody was like a little bit up the floor. So I was like, I can't wait on them to get the ball out. So I mean, I might as well take it out. So that's when I had got the ball, went out of bounds. I saw Ice run across in my face. Threw it to him, first person I saw, and the rest was history.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Next question from Myron Patton. Go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, Avery. A couple weeks ago, Coach made a statement that he said that you guys were he wouldn't trade your guards for any guards in the country. I'm sure it makes you guys feel really good about your play. What is it he's saying? What is it that makes you guys special?
I would say we bring a whole bunch of different things to the table. We got guards that can shoot. We got people that can make plays. We got people that can get down the hill, play off two, score. It's just we all got different things in our game that other guards don't have. So I would say that's what makes it different.
How much of I think you got 8, maybe 9 guards that would be listed as guards on your team, or small forwards, whatever.
Yes, sir.
That kind of competition, what does that do for you every day in practice?
Oh, it's real competitive. It makes me be an even more competitive person because I want to show that I'm a good guard too here in front of my teammates, and I want them to show that they're a good guard in front of me too. So I mean, the competition is always at a high level in practice, and that's what Coach B likes, and that's what I like for sure.
How much is your sophomore now? You're playing last year. How much does that help you this year? How much is adding a guy like Cade Cunningham, who comes with a lot of accolades and everything else? How much does that raise the intensity of your workouts?
Very high because, I mean, everybody knows Cade, and he's a hard worker. Everybody loves him. He comes in, work every day, and he brings high energy. And so me, I just try to match his energy. And if I'm not matching his energy, I want him to match my energy every day. So we no days off. We work every day, and it's gonna be a good season.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Remember, if you have a question for Avery Anderson, go ahead and raise your hand. There's Chris Becker right there. Go for it, Chris.
Avery, I want to ask a little bit off the court question here about TikTok. How does that help you and the other guys, grow as one and, grow that chemistry together?
Man, that's crazy because really we've been doing TikTok since last year, me, Key, and Caleb, and Chris. And so whenever we saw Don doing it this year, it was like perfect for a little like team bond chemistry or whatever. And so, yeah, the videos is we just be doing crazy stuff.
Now, last year you got Coach Gundy in a TikTok. Have you tried to get Coach B in a TikTok?
We haven't tried, but I think we should try. I think he's gonna go for it because if Coach Gundy do it, then he gonna have to do it. He has to. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Avery.
Yes, I appreciate you.
Any other questions for Avery Anderson? Awesome. Well, Avery, we really appreciate you joining us, and good luck. Oh, one more from Jacob. Go for it, Jacob.
I'm just kind of curious, Avery, the new guys outside of Cade, who's really kind of impressed you?
Who really impressed me out of the new guys? I would say 1K. I mean, Bryce. we call him 1K, but I would say Bryce really caught my eye because he's a real crafty player. He could shoot it. He could play D. He could make plays for other guys. He could get a shot for himself. So he could do it all. And that really caught my eye.
Awesome. Thanks, Avery.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Avery, for joining us, and we will be right back with Coach recording. And go ahead and start raising your hand if you guys have any.
When Gillespie figures out that I'm a Yankees fan and stops insulting me with this Boston Red Sox stuff, then we'll start having a better relationship. You understand that, right, Fran?
Awesome. Well, Coach, we finally have a home schedule. We've got a game on Saturday at 6:30, but first things first, a trip to UT-Arlington. We'll let you start with letting us know just how excited you are that it is finally a game week here at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying that I'm excited that our kids are going to have an opportunity to play. Obviously, every day presents new challenges, but, there's a lot of negativity going around, and I'm not buying into it. I don't want any part of it. I was happy to see my guys this morning. We started talking about our game plan for Wednesday afternoon. We're going to be playing against a really talented, well-coached team in UT-Arlington. Chris Ogden has been around the block a few times, knows this league well, knows a lot of our players well because his time at Tech and at Texas, he recruited this state and knows these guys probably as well as I do. So I'm really mostly excited, first of all, about the opportunity our kids get to play again. First time since March for most all of them, and that our fans get an opportunity to see basketball, and that I get a chance to at least be a small part of it.
Thank you, Coach, and we'll get started with questions. Jacob Unruh, you've got the first one. Go for it.
Mike, how's it going this morning?
Doing well.
Good. Hey, usually you have a little bit more of a build up to the season with guys. You get a scrimmage, things like that. Do you really kind of what's your comfort level and know what to expect from your guys going in there without any kind of a scrimmage or anything like that?
I feel good. I probably feel about the same as I would any other year. I don't know if I can feel good about what to expect as much, right? What rotations will look like, how gassed guys will be early in the game. But I scheduled this game for a reason. They're good, right? I wanted to play a quality opponent. I wanted to play on the road once we didn't have an opportunity to go to Lincoln as we thought we would before, to still play a pretty high-quality opponent. They were playing as well as anybody in their conference at the end of the year last year, and I recognize that. And so I'm excited to see how we respond to a different environment, probably a different environment than we normally would see. Obviously, I would expect they would have a sellout crowd in there if we were coming in for the first game on ESPN too. But obviously, I think they'll have an energetic crowd nonetheless. And obviously, we got a lot of guys from that area who will be able to play in front of their parents. So I'm anxious. I'm excited. But I'm also optimistic that we've worked really hard to get to this point, and that guys will be ready.
Cade, you hear how he's calm, cool, and collected. But do you worry about Cade and other guys like that and how they respond in their first game?
Nah, players play. I tell you the thing that I've told him about is this can't be work, right? I want him to enjoy this as much as possible. This should be fun. Tomorrow will be practice, either 29 or 30. We're going to max out the opportunities we have before. So we're going to be prepared. And I want these guys to have as much fun playing this game as they can, knowing that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to play. And so even though I know that a lot of eyes will be on him, there'll be a lot of attention coming his way, I do want him to enjoy not just Wednesday, but the entirety of this season, as unpredictable as it could be, because you only get to do this so many times. So we want to relish the chances that we do get to put on that uniform and go compete with one another.
Thanks, Mike.
Next question is coming from Myron Patton. Go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, Coach. With this first game, you've had practice, you've had scrimmages. How much do you allow the players to figure some things out, or do you have more of a heavy hand in an early game like this? Because like Jake said, you hadn't had a scrimmage or anything like that. Do you approach it any different, I guess, in terms of, a scrimmage that you've had in a squad or whatever, more of a heavy hand, or do you want to learn more about what they can figure out on their own?
Wednesday's about the guys going out and competing. So I don't know if I ever really coach with a heavy hand. It's not really who I am. What I do is in practice, I try to give them all the tools. I tell them all the time, I want to put as many tools in their toolbox as I can so that when they see a situation, they know what they need for it. Sometimes it's a hammer, sometimes it's a screwdriver, sometimes it's a saw, whatever it is. But I want to make sure that when we go out there, we don't see something that we haven't seen and we don't know how to respond to it. But beyond that, I feel comfortable in our staff's ability to get these guys prepared for what they might see. And then in their ability, it's a player's game. And I feel like we got pretty good players who can go out and make plays when we need them to give ourselves a chance to win.
A couple of weeks ago, you said that you wouldn't trade your guards for any guards in the country. Tell people what you like about your guards and what they bring.
Well, I think, first of all, we've got a lot of versatility just within our backcourt, right? And obviously, it's obvious everybody starts with Cade, a 6'8" point guard, but they forget we had a pretty big point guard last year. In fact, Mr. Coach Fischella used to call him a linebacker masquerading as a point guard, right? 6'4", 220 himself. And now he's our second biggest point guard on our team. So that's a unique backcourt to have. And then you got a guy like Bryce Williams, who's as athletic as maybe any guard in the country, who can play on and off the ball, and a guy who's really dynamic in Avery Anderson. And then you got shot makers and Keelan Boone and Farron Flavors who can space the floor. And so I feel confident if I had to play 5 of those guys together, that I would feel good about our opportunities to at least get really good shots on every possession. I wouldn't be concerned on the defensive end in terms of rebounding. But again, it's a guards game. It's about spacing the floor and playing. And again, I'll take it to the bank. If you line up any team in the country and tell me I can have their backcourt or mine collectively, I'll take ours.
So you will think you do some 5-guard lineups, maybe Cade at your 5, I guess, or something like that, or what, you think you'll do that this season?
Absolutely. That'll happen.
Thanks.
Frank Bonner, you are up next.
Hey, Mike, good to see you.
Frank, good to see you, man.
When Donovan was asked about a player that he may look up to or model his game after, he had mentioned that, there's only a small amount of stars in the NBA, and he referenced Andre Iguodala as someone who just does everything right with rebounding and defense. With him having that outlook about the game, how does that help him get on the floor?
Yeah, I remember vividly when we signed this class, and I think he might have been the last one in the spring that signed with us. And then we got Bryce and Bernie in the summer. But a lot of what was talked about was how, right, with all this talent, how do you get these guys now to play well? And that's obviously what my job is to get guys to understand it's about the team. And the more success our team has, the more opportunities individuals we will have, regardless, whether it's postseason awards, whether it be opportunities at the next level, but most importantly, the opportunity to impact us having success as a group. And so what it tells me is that that message is resonating with him. I think he's going to be a big part of what we do, but it may not be the way he envisioned it, right? It may not be the way he had an impact on his high school team where he got to shoot 25 to 30 times a game and didn't have to play defense. Well, now it may be that he gets to shoot 2 or 3 times, and most of his responsibilities is with defense and rebounding and spacing the floor and not being a primary playmaker. So I'm glad to hear that message is getting through, and I hope that he continues to buy into his ability to help us win without being a primary scorer or a primary handler or somebody that we count on to score 20. Although he's got the ability to do it occasionally, it's not something that we're going to be game planning for him to do throughout this season.
I mean, when you get these players coming out of high school, some players are more comfortable watching film than others. Donovan said that, one thing that was new for him is actually watching film on himself versus just watching other opponents. How important is that part for these young guys in their growth of watching their own film?
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference is getting kids to buy into the strength and conditioning and resting part, right? Guys don't understand how important taking care of their bodies is, whether it be weights, training room rehab, going in and before and afterwards, getting into the hot tub. But then right after that is film study, right? I coach in a league with 9 potentially Hall of Fame coaches, and then there's me, right, who probably should be still working his way up through a lower level of college basketball. And so I have a lot of great respect for the ability of those guys to put together good game plans. And so for our kids, they have to understand how important it is that they know where their opportunities are going to come, what it's going to take for us to have success. Because, again, we're going to go to Norman, and Lon Kruger's going to have a game plan that he's not going to let Donovan Williams do X. So he better learn how to adjust and do Y. And we're going to go to Morgantown, West Virginia, and Bob Huggins is going to have a totally different game plan on how to do things. And then we're going to go to Lawrence and Manhattan. And every game, you're facing these great coaches who have the ability to take you out of things. And so learning the game, right, learning how to respond to certain situations is something that freshmen very rarely pick up early on in their freshman year. And so they struggle with that part. But to know that he's spent more time at it, there's a reason he's been practicing better in the last 2 weeks.
From a general standpoint, like you said, that may be the hardest thing to get them to understand. How do you get them to understand? How do you bring them along in that?
Well, they most of the time they have to struggle first, to be perfectly honest. And I'm not sure how in depth he got with you guys, but he struggled. His first couple of weeks on campus were not very pleasant. He didn't shoot the ball well. He wasn't able to find success. The way he had success as a high school senior wasn't going to work here as a freshman. And until he gave that up and decided that he had to change in order to find opportunities to play with this group, it wasn't. So for him, it was struggling. For other guys, it may be just they know that the mechanics on their jump shot isn't good enough. They got to get it off quicker. But for him, it was just the mental approach that this is really, really hard. And just because you're the best player in high school doesn't necessarily translate to this level, especially at the highest level of college basketball. So it's good to hear that from him, to see that the work that he's putting in is paying off for him. But again, in high school, those things don't matter. He can just show up on Tuesday afternoon. He's the best dude out there, no matter. I mean, unless some guy's showing up from the football team in February because, he's been out on the football field, he doesn't have to practice hard every day. And his coach is going to play him because he needs him to get 25 to have a chance. So nothing against those high school coaches. They're doing what they need to do to have success. But in college, the stakes are much higher.
Thank you, Mike.
Next question from Marshall Scott. Go for it.
Yeah, Mike, you guys had an inter-squad scrimmage on Saturday, I believe. Is there anything that you took from that you maybe didn't know before, or anything that kind of emphasized itself with that scrimmage?
We've come a long way defensively, but I mean that's I'm not sure what that means. We were really, really bad defensively about 3 weeks ago. In fact, I was going to go sit in Coach Iba's chair in the arena and ask for advice because we were so far off. And so we've come a long way defensively. It's a concept that we actually understand now. We're not good at it yet, but at least there's some conceptualization that it matters, that we're not going to score 95 every game. We could score 90. The other thing is that we do have, between Keelan, Chris, Farron, and Bryce Williams, 4 guys who I feel confident will be able to space the floor for Caden Ice to make plays.
You mentioned defense. You mentioned, I think last week, that the offensive scheme is kind of going to change this year with the talent you have. Does anything change defensively with the aggressive approach to man-to-man?
Yeah, that'll be more game by game, depending on the opponent and what we need to do to have success. But we've got a lot of depth in the backcourt. And one of the ways that you can use that is to extend the floor. Avery can come in and he can be a different kind of defensive player than Cade and Ice on the ball. Bryce Williams can do that. So we got some defensive versatility that maybe allow us to press full court a little bit more. But beyond that, I don't see much philosophical differences other than making adjustments from game to game.
Gotcha. With it being 2020, I guess this could change tomorrow, but do you expect to have everyone available on Wednesday?
Yes. I'm trying to think through this now. Yes. Everybody's available to practice today, so.
Okay. And then we saw, I believe it was this morning, Scott Drew tested positive for the virus. Do you guys have a game plan if you're not able to coach a game, like who would step into that role or things along that nature?
Yeah, there is. I've got a really good staff. Obviously, Coach Sutton's been here with us for 3 years. He knows our staff. He knows what we're doing. I trust Eric Pastrana as well as anybody. Obviously, Barry Henson's still hanging around. So we got some guys capable of stepping in and pinch hitting if we need them to.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Jimmy Gillespie, you are up next. Go for it.
Hey, Coach. How's it going?
I'm great, man. Other than I got to look at this B on your chest.
Well, I will say it was a shirt to a 5K to raise money for the Boston bombing.
Cool.
So, yeah. I'm not a Red Sox fan. Well, Coach, obviously, rebounding is a concern of yours. Is it getting better leading into Wednesday's game, or is it still a concern of yours?
It's getting better. It's gotten better because I think I've gotten Ice and Keelan, who both have done tremendous work on the glass here the last couple of weeks, to understand that they have to help us in there. Obviously, Kay is going to be on the perimeter a lot, both ends of the court, but those guys will have to play some as for us. Keelan Boone and Donovan Williams' progression over the last 2 weeks has helped him in terms of maybe having opportunities because he's a big physical guy who can rebound. I do think that we'll be able to figure that out. We need to figure it out soon because one thing I noticed from UT-Arlington is they're long and they're athletic, and if we don't block out, that's somewhere that they'll hurt us.
Okay. And then, Coach, obviously, usually you start, season at home. Obviously, not going to this year, but how nice is it to be sort of a home game for several of your guys that are from the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Yeah, I thought it was neat. I appreciate the ESPN team for helping facilitate this. It's obviously a unique opportunity for UTA having a Big 12 team. I think the only other time was they opened this arena with the University of Oklahoma in 2012. So it's a unique opportunity, but we recruit there, and it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Not the least of which, I've always liked to challenge our team early in the season with a road game. We played at Charleston pretty early last year. I think 2 years ago we went to Tulsa. We played a lot of challenging road games in the non-conference, and part of it is to prepare ourselves for what I know is coming. I always say it. I mean, there's nowhere to hide when they say you got 18 of them and 9 of them, you don't have a choice. You got to go to Lawrence, or you got to go to Manhattan, you got to go to Ames, and no matter what, they're going to be good. They're going to be ready to play, and if you're not, you won't have success. It's really that simple. If you're not prepared to play on the road, you're going to lose. And if you are prepared, most of the time you'll have a chance. But there are no guarantees. So what we're going to do is prepare ourselves for game one to be ready for the long haul when it comes to Big 12 time.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Next question coming to you from Fran Fraschilla. Go for it, Coach.
Hey, Mike, given all of the attention that Cade is getting right now, it's positive, obviously, all the preseason magazine, blogs, et cetera. What are a couple of areas that you want to see him improve on that, everybody's expecting LeBron James, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are areas that you think that as good as he is right now, he can improve on, not only for this season for your team, but also for his future?
Yeah, I that's a great question, Fran. I think one of the things, and I talked to Cade about this very thing this morning, the first thing that I've got to make sure Cade Cunningham does, and I alluded to this earlier, is he's got to have fun. He's got to enjoy this. With that comes a lot of expectations in a good way, but it can feel pressure. He just turned 19 in September.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't imagine it when I was 19. I was just happy Coach Vogler put me in at the end of games for a few minutes to rest somebody. But to be expected to be a preseason All-American and potential number 1 pick, he needs to be able to enjoy this process. And part of the way he enjoys it is he lets the game come to him. He doesn't put pressure on himself to shoot the first 5 shots, that he tries to get himself closer to the basket. He's a little passive still offensively. I think it's an area he can be more aggressive when he gets into the paint. He defers to passing. And sometimes at 6'7.5", 6'8", when he gets the ball into the paint over a 6'3" guy, the missed shot is just as valuable because you probably got a second defender coming over and you give your teammate who otherwise may drop the lob or not finish it anyway a chance to get the second shot for you. So just being more aggressive, looking to score in the paint. And then he's got to be conscious of getting to the free throw line where he's a good free throw shooter. And I think he should, because of his physical stature, if they're smaller guys, we're going to post him, and he should get to the line between 8 and 12 times a game, which will, again, if he's getting 8 points a game from the free throw line, he doesn't have to shoot 20 balls to get to 20 points. He can be more efficient in offensive situations.
Can you envision a time this season? I used to tell some of my better players, look, you hurt the team if you don't look to score. Can you envision a time this year where you may have to tell him, you're the best guy out here, would you please take over?
No, there's no question. It's something that our staff has talked about this summer. And I don't know how much you watched him. I know you've seen him a lot the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But Cade naturally isn't a scoring-minded player. Like, that's not his first tendency. He is a distributor. He wants other guys to get involved. And there's no question. There's going to be a game where I'm going to need him to shoot 25 times because he's going to have the ball and he's going to have to make the play to score to give us a chance. And that's got to be a mindset where he realizes it and we know this is what we're running, and we're running it not for you to find somebody.
Right.
Not that he's going to take bad shots, but he's got to take sometimes tougher shots with defense than passing it to a teammate who's not as capable.
Thank you, Mike. See you tomorrow.
Jacob Unruh, another question. Go for it.
Mike, I'm sure you saw the NCAA stuff with Alabama and then Auburn self-imposing things. I was kind of curious, first, what's your reaction to kind of seeing those punishments, considering everything you're going through?
I'll be honest, frustrated. The situation seemed very close in circumstance, very different in punishment. And so frustrating would be the word I'd use. But at the end of the day, we have our process to go through. Alabama and Auburn has theirs. And, only thing you ask for is kind of like a coach in a game with officiating, right? You want consistency. If it's a touch foul on the other end, then it should be a touch foul here. If it's not a foul, then it's not a foul both ways. And so that's kind of more where the frustration comes. It just seems like there's a wide gap between the punishment when what I can read, I don't know all the details of how it got adjudicated, but the crime per se seems pretty comparable. The punishment does not.
That's something you guys are really going to kind of point to in the appeal, you think, now when you see that discrepancy?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, this came out after our process got finalized the first time and in the middle of the appeal. So I kind of leave that up to the legal people and how that works logistically in terms of process. But I hope it's something that can be acknowledged as, hey, we may have something to reconsider here.
And what are your thoughts on the self-imposing? Not necessarily just Auburn, but people have done that a lot. You guys didn't take that path necessarily either, but what are your thoughts on being able to do that and change that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to play by the rules that are in play, and that's what's on the table, right? There's some things we self-imposed. We didn't go as far as Auburn did. So I don't know if I can speak to each individual case per se, but if it's all stemming from a lot of the same activity, it's hard to imagine. The only thing I would say is, I think Georgia Tech, I don't know if you guys follow much of this stuff when it doesn't include us, but Georgia Tech self-imposed a postseason ban sometime last year. and then there wasn't even a tournament, and so it was suffice, right? So
Mhm.
how all of it works really is kind of confusing sometimes.
Thanks, Mike.